The wind was sharp like a knife. Snow covered the dead bodies lying across the battlefield. Everything was silent. The war between humans and Valari had ended here, but not in peace. Only death. Zura, a Valari soldier, was lying half buried in the snow. Her skin was blue from the cold, her breathing was slow. Weak, almost gone. Her armor was broken, her arm bleeding. She had fought hard, but now she couldn't move. She knew she was dying. Zura blinked slowly, her vision blurry. The sky above her was gray. She wanted to scream, but no voice came out. Her people had left. They thought she was dead. Maybe she was. She had always been told humans were monsters. Savage, cruel, heartless. She had seen human ships destroy Valari colonies. She had watched videos of soldiers burning villages. She believed every word the commanders told her. But now, as death came closer, she saw a shape moving in the snow. A tall figure wearing thick black armor, heavy boots, rifle in hand, a human. Her heart raced in fear. She tried to reach for her blade, but her hand didn't move. This is it, she thought. He's going to shoot me. He's going to finish what the other started. The human stopped beside her. He looked down at her face. Zura stared into his eyes. Tired, dark, unreadable. Seconds passed. Then he knelt down. She closed her eyes, waiting for the shot, but no pain came, no bullet, only warmth. The human took off his thick coat and wrapped it around her. He put his hands near her face, checking her breathing. Then he looked into her eyes and spoke one word. Safe. Zura blinked, confused. Did she hear that right? Why was he helping her? She tried to speak, but only coughed. He gently lifted her from the snow. She wanted to resist, to scream, but her body was too weak. He carried her through the ruins. Snow falling around them, every step was slow, careful. She felt the heat of his body near hers. She hated that it felt comforting. This was the enemy. Why was he saving her? After some time, he reached a broken bunker hidden under the snow. Inside it was dark and cold, but better than outside. He placed her on a piece of old fabric, lit a small fire with dry wood and scraps. The flame slowly warmed the space. Zura watched him silently. He moved like a soldier, quiet and focused. He poured water into a metal cup, heated it over the fire, then gently helped her drink. She felt strength return to her lips. Why? She whispered, her voice cracked like ice. The human didn't answer at first. He looked at the fire, then at her. You needed help, he said simply. Zura didn't know what to say. No human had ever shown mercy to her kind. Was this a trick? Was she a prisoner? But he didn't tie her hands. Didn't lock the door. He just sat nearby, silent. Watching the fire, she looked at his rifle. It leaned against the wall within reach, but she couldn't move yet. And for some reason, she didn't want to. The wind howled outside, but inside the bunker, there was silence and warmth. Zura closed her eyes slowly. Her body finally rested. Her mind, however, was full of questions. Who was this man? Why did he save her? What did he want? Her people would call him a fool. Her commanders would say he was weak. But she had felt his hand stop her bleeding. He had given her warmth, not pain, kindness, not death. She opened her eyes one more time and saw him sitting with his back against the wall. His head lowered, resting, still watching her out of the corner of his eye. He didn't trust her either. That made sense. Zura didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But for now, in this quiet place, the war felt far away, and the enemy didn't feel like an enemy anymore. The shelter was small and dark. The fire crackled softly in the corner. Smoke curled toward the low ceiling. Outside, the snowstorm raged on, hiding them from the world. Zura lay wrapped in the human's heavy coat, her body still weak, but her mind raced. She didn't trust him. She wanted to be angry, but the warmth from the fire and the coat made her feel safe. Something she had not felt in a long time. The human sat across from her, his face tired and rough. He did not speak much. His eyes watched her carefully. When she looked at him, he looked away. There was a silence between them, heavy and full of questions. Zura's thoughts went back to her home planet. She remembered the cold halls of the Valari command, the strict voices ordering her to fight and kill humans. She remembered the stories, how humans burned villages, how they destroyed everything without mercy. Her commanders told her that humans had no soul, no honor, no respect for life. But this human, this one man, had saved her, had not killed her, had done the impossible. Why? She finally whispered, her voice fragile like a broken branch. Why did you save me? The human looked up slowly. His eyes were dark pools of pain. He seemed to carry the weight of the whole war on his shoulders. He did not answer with words, only a quiet sigh. Then he reached into a small bag and pulled out a piece of dry bread. He broke it in half and held it out to her. Zura hesitated. She had not eaten in days. Her hunger was sharp, but her pride stopped her. Finally, her hand trembled and took the bread. She chewed slowly. The taste was strange, but the hunger made it good. The human watched her with something like relief. He spoke at last, his voice low and rough. "I lost my daughter." Zura's eyes widened. She did not expect those words. "Your daughter?" she asked, confused. He nodded. "She was small, like a child from your stories." "She died in a Valari airstrike." The silence returned. Zura's heart felt heavy. She thought about the destruction her people had caused. How many children had died because of her race? How many families had been broken? But this man still saved her. Even after losing his own child, she wanted to say something. To explain, to apologize, but no words came. The human stood and moved to the fire. He picked up a small metal container and poured some water into it. He heated it carefully. When the water was warm, he brought it to her. "Drink," he said simply. Zura took the cup and sipped. The warmth spread inside her. She felt a strange feeling, not fear, not hate, but hope. Outside, the snowstorm seemed endless. But inside the shelter there was warmth. And for the first time in a long time, Zura felt safe. Days passed slowly. The human did not say much, but his actions spoke louder than words. He cleaned her wounds carefully. He fixed her broken armor with pieces of scrap metal. He hunted small animals for food and cooked them over the fire. All without asking anything in return. Zura watched him closely. She noticed how gentle he was with the animals, how careful he was not to waste anything. She had never seen a human like this. Not the ones who fought and killed her people, but this one man. He was different. She tried to remember his name, but he never said it. He only nodded when she tried to ask. Maybe he wanted to keep some secrets. Or maybe he was just tired of talking. One night, as the fire burned low, Zura asked the question that had been in her mind since the beginning. "Why do you help me? Why risk your life for an enemy?" The human looked at her long and hard. Then he spoke, his voice quiet but strong.
"Because not all enemies are the same, because sometimes
saving one life can change everything." Zura did not understand all the meaning in his words, but she felt the truth inside them. She wanted to believe it. She wanted to believe there was more than war and hate. She closed her eyes, the firelight dancing on the walls. For a moment, the cold outside did not matter. The war did not matter. Only this small fire, this strange human, and the hope that maybe tomorrow would be different. The shelter was quiet now. The fire's glow soft against the dark walls. Zura was feeling stronger each day. Her wounds were healing, and her body no longer shook from cold, but her mind was full of new questions. The human soldier moved with careful steps around her. He never spoke much, but Zura watched everything he did. She noticed small things, the way he cleaned his rifle with care, the way he checked the shelter's entrance every night, and most of all, the way his eyes seemed heavy, like he carried a secret too big for words. One evening, after the fire was almost out, Zura woke to a soft sound, a quiet sob. She opened her eyes and saw the soldier sitting by the fire, his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. For the first time, she saw a side of him no warrior wanted to show. She wanted to turn away, afraid to disturb him, but something inside told her to stay. Slowly, she sat up and asked softly, "Why do you cry?" The soldier looked up, surprised to see her awake. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand, then pulled out a small, worn photo from inside his coat. Zura could see the faded face of a little girl smiling. His daughter, she realized. "I lost her," he said, voice breaking. "She was only 7, full of life and laughter." He paused. "She died when the Valari bombed our town." Zura's heart ached. She remembered the stories of the attack, how her own people had destroyed innocent homes. How many lives were lost, yet here was this man, still saving her even after such pain. "I am sorry," she whispered. But the soldier shook his head. "No," he said. "It is not your fault. Not all Valari want war, just as not all humans want hate." For the first time, Zura felt a connection, a fragile thread of understanding. She wanted to know more about this man, the man who saved her life and carried such sorrow. Days passed, and their quiet moments grew longer. Sometimes they talked about small things, the stars, the strange foods they missed, the places they wished to see. Slowly, the walls between them began to fall. One afternoon, the soldier showed her an old book. It was a small collection of human stories. He read to her in a soft voice, tales of hope, bravery, and kindness. Zura listened, fascinated by a world so different from the endless war she knew. She shared stories, too, of her home planet's forests, the shining blue lakes, the songs her mother sang. Though they spoke different languages, their words found a way to meet in the middle. But the soldier's secret was heavier than words. At night, when the shelter was dark and silent, Zura saw him staring into the fire, lost in thought. She wanted to ask what haunted him, but the words stayed inside her one cold night. The soldier finally spoke. "My daughter, she believed in peace," he said. She dreamed of a world where humans and Valari could live together. He looked at Zura with tired eyes. "Maybe you can be that change." Zura felt a strange hope rise inside her. The enemy she feared was no longer just a face of war. He was a man with dreams, fears, and love. And maybe, just maybe, they could find a new path together. Outside, the wind howled, but inside the shelter, a quiet promise was born. Two souls, once enemies, now linked by loss, hope, and the fragile possibility of peace. Zura's heart was heavy as she stood at the edge of the dark forest. The cold air bit at her skin, but inside she felt a deeper chill. Her time with the human soldier had changed her in ways she did not expect. But now danger was closer than ever. Far above the snowy hills, the hum of Valari ships grew louder. They had tracked her signal. Her people were coming to bring her back. But Zura did not want to return. She could not face their judgment. Not after what she had learned, not after what she had felt. The Valari forces landed with sharp precision, their ships cutting through the sky like silver knives. Soldiers poured out, weapons ready. Zura's heart raced. Her people, the ones she had fought for, knew were now her enemy. The human soldier stepped forward to protect her. He held his rifle steady, eyes sharp. The battle was sudden and fierce. Shots echoed through the forest. Snow exploded underfoot. Zura moved with the speed of a warrior. She fought not to kill, but to protect the man who had saved her. But the Valari were relentless. They saw her as a traitor, one of their own who had turned against them. The soldier was injured in the chaos. Blood stained his clothes. Zura's heart ached as she saw him fall. She reached him just in time, pulling him behind a fallen tree. "Stay with me," she whispered. Her hands shook as she tried to stop the bleeding. He looked at her with tired eyes and a faint smile. "You're not alone," he said, "but we need help." Zura knew the forest well. She knew of hidden places where they could hide. But first she had to make a decision, return to her people, or risk everything to save the man who had saved her. She chose the risk, moving through the shadows. She carried him carefully, avoiding patrols and searchlights. Every step was a fight against fear and doubt. At night, when the world was still, she listened to the sounds of the forest, the rustle of leaves, the distant calls of night creatures. She thought about her people's cold eyes, their harsh words, their unyielding loyalty to war. Zura was no longer sure where she belonged. Her heart was torn between two worlds, the Valari who had raised her to hate, and the human who had taught her to hope. Days passed as they hid in an abandoned cave. The soldier's wounds healed slowly. Zura brought him water and food. Their bond grew stronger in the silence, but danger was never far. Valari scouts searched nearby, and Zura knew that if they were found, both would die. She thought of the war, of endless fighting and endless pain. She wondered if there was any chance for peace, or if the hate between their species was too deep. Then one evening, as the fire flickered low, Zura made a choice. She would fight not with weapons, but with truth. She would find a way to show both sides that there was another way. But first she had to survive, and to survive, she needed allies. People who believed that peace was possible. Even if it seemed impossible, the enemy was no longer just outside. It was inside her own people, inside her own heart, and the hardest battle was just beginning. The cold cave smelled of earth and old stone. Outside, the wind whispered like a warning. Zura sat beside the small fire, her fingers trembling as she held the thin metal box of stolen medicine. She knew what she was about to do was dangerous. Maybe the most dangerous thing in her life. Her people called her a traitor already, but she didn't care anymore. She could no longer live by the rules of war and hatred. She had seen another way, one that promised hope instead of death. The human soldier was still weak, his breathing shallow and uneven. She had to save him, no matter the cost at night. Under the shadow of stars, Zura slipped quietly out of the cave. She moved fast and silent like a ghost. The guards were fewer now because many were chasing rumors of rebel activity elsewhere. Her chance to get the medicine was small, but it was there, inside the Valari base. The halls were cold and bright with harsh lights. Zura's heart pounded as she found the medical bay. She had memorized the patrol routes, but every step echoed in her mind. She knew one mistake would mean death or worse. The door slid open with a hiss. She slipped inside. Rows of supplies lined the walls, drugs, bandages, and tools. Her eyes searched quickly for what she needed. She grabbed a small vial of healing serum, her hands shaking. Suddenly, a voice hissed behind her. "Stop!" Zura spun around. A Valari soldier blocked the doorway. His eyes were cold and angry. "Traitor," he spat. "You think you can steal from your own people?" Zura's heart froze, but she didn't run. She stood tall. "I do what is right," she said firmly. "I will not watch the innocent die." The soldier sneered and raised his weapon, but before he could fire, another voice shouted, "Wait!" From the shadows stepped a group of rebels, Valari, who also believed in peace. They surrounded the angry soldier and took him away. Zura's breath came fast. She nodded in thanks to the rebels. Her hope grew back at the cave. She gave the healing serum to the human soldier. His eyes fluttered open slowly. The pain in his face softened. He tried to smile. "You saved me again," he whispered. Zura smiled too. "We save each other," she said. Days passed. They talked more than before. Not about war, but about life, about dreams, fears, and hopes. The soldier told her stories of his daughter, her laughter, her courage. Zura shared memories of her home, the blue lakes, the soft songs her mother sang. Trust grew between them, slowly, carefully, like a fragile flower blooming in the cold. But trust was dangerous. Their friendship was a secret from both sides. If anyone found out, it could mean death one night. As the fire burned low, the soldier asked quietly, "Do you think peace is possible?" Zura looked into the fire. Her heart was torn. She knew the war was too deep, but she also knew that hate could be defeated by understanding. "Yes," she said finally. "Because we can change. Because we must." The storm outside was fierce, but inside the cave something stronger grew. A bond of hope. A promise that maybe, just maybe, two enemies could become something more. The quiet moments in the cave were becoming rare. The wind outside grew colder and more angry. Zura and the soldier knew their time was running out. The Valari were searching harder, their patrols closer than before. Every shadow could hide an enemy. One evening, as the fire flickered low, Zura noticed the soldier's eyes were dark with worry. He stared into the flames but said nothing. Finally, she broke the silence. "What troubles you?" He looked at her, hesitation clear in his gaze. "There are things I have not told you," he said, voice low. "Things from my past, things that might change how you see me." Zura's heart skipped a beat. She had come to trust him. But secrets could break even the strongest bonds. The soldier took a deep breath and began. "Before the war, I was part of a special unit. We were trained for missions no one else could do sometimes. Those missions meant choices no one could understand." He paused, searching her face for judgment. Zura shook her head gently. "Tell me," she said. "I want to understand." He nodded and continued. "There was a mission where I had to choose between saving my team or capturing a high Valari leader. I chose the mission. Many lives were lost that day, both human and Valari. I still wonder if I made the right choice." Zura listened. She felt the weight of his guilt. She remembered the pain in his eyes when he spoke of his daughter. She knew the war had left scars deeper than the cold. "Your past does not define you," she said softly. "It's what we do now that matters." The soldier smiled weakly, grateful for her words, but the shadows outside the cave were growing. One night as they slept, a noise woke Zura. Soft footsteps, careful and slow. She moved silently to the cave's entrance and peered out. 2 Valari soldiers were scanning the area. Their weapons ready, Zura's heart pounded. She signaled to the soldier, who grabbed his rifle. They could not fight, not without risking capture. So they hid deeper in the cave, holding their breath. The soldiers passed by unaware, but the warning was clear. They were close. Days later, the tension became unbearable. The soldier said, "We need to move. Staying here is too dangerous," Zura agreed, but where could they go? The forests were vast, but the enemy was everywhere. As they prepared to leave, Zura found a small, hidden communicator in the soldier's pack. She looked at him, puzzled. "Who is this for?" He hesitated. "It's for someone I trust," he said. "A contact who might help us end this war." Zura's hope flickered. Maybe there was still a chance, but trust was fragile, and secrets could destroy everything. Before they left, Zura made a decision. She would confront her own people. She would tell them about the humans' kindness, about the possibility of peace even if it meant risking everything. The night before their journey, the soldier gave her a small worn locket. Inside was a picture of his daughter. "Take this," he said. "So you remember why we fight?" Zura held the locket tightly, her heart full of fear and hope. Tomorrow, the real battle would begin. Not with guns or weapons, but with words and courage. Outside, the cold wind howled, but inside, two enemies prepared to change the future, together against the shadows of doubt. The first light of dawn was soft and pale. It crept over the snowy hills like a quiet promise. Zura and the soldier stood together, watching the sky change from dark to light. They were ready for what would come next. Their journey to find allies had not been easy. Every step was filled with danger and doubt, but now, they carried more than hope. They carried proof that peace was possible. The soldier's contact was a woman named Lyra, a human who believed in ending the war. She had helped many escape the fighting. Her small group was ready to listen. Zura had her own secret, a message for her people. She wanted to tell the Valari that not all humans were enemies. That friendship was stronger than fear. The meeting took place in a hidden valley. Far from the war machines and shouting commanders, Lyra greeted them with a cautious smile, her eyes full of tired hope. "We've heard about your story," she said. "The soldier and the alien, enemies turned friends," Zura smiled. "Yes," she said, "and we want to show others that this is possible." Together, they planned their next move to send a message to both sides, a call for peace, for understanding, for an end to the endless fighting. But not everyone wanted peace deep inside the Valari command. A general named Korvath heard whispers of rebellion. He saw Zura's betrayal as a threat to their power. He vowed to stop her by any means necessary. Korvath's soldiers moved quickly. They searched the forests, captured anyone who spoke of peace. Their fear of change was stronger than their fear of war. Zura and the soldier knew the danger. They could feel it like a storm on the horizon, but they refused to turn back. The day came when they broadcasted their message. Using a stolen transmitter, Zura's voice echoed through the airwaves. Simple words filled with truth and hope. "People of Valari and humans alike, we are not enemies, we are survivors of the same pain. Let us end this war and build a new tomorrow." The message spread quickly. Some listened with open hearts, others with suspicion and anger. But the seed of change was planted. Korvath was furious. He sent his troops to capture Zura and silence the soldier. The final battle was close in the shadow of the mountains. Zura and the soldier faced the soldiers who once were their enemies. But now some of those enemies hesitated. They saw the truth in Zura's eyes, the hope burning in the soldier's heart. A fight broke out, fierce and fast, but this time, it was different. Some soldiers laid down their weapons, others helped the injured. The war was breaking apart from within. Zura and the soldier stood side by side, not as enemies but as friends. Their courage was stronger than fear, their hope brighter than the coldest night. When the sun rose higher, the valley was quiet. A new day had begun, a day where two worlds could finally meet. Zura looked at the soldier and smiled. "We did it," she said softly. "We changed everything," he nodded. "And it's only the beginning." Together, they walked into the light of the new tomorrow, where peace was not just a dream but a promise waiting to be kept.